I can't answer that question because I don't know who God is. Yeah, it comes back to having faith, I guess.
I don't know is the answer, I think.
I wouldn't describe God as a person. So I don't put a gender on God. I suppose the way I grew up, yeah, I would say he. For me, I feel more comfortable, yeah, if I said he. But I've taken that part out of it a lot, and it's more God is all-encompassing, all-being, all-knowing, all-loving.
So God is this creative something, force or being, a creator that basically created everything and set the world in motion and sends these divine educators to us human beings to help us with our social, spiritual, and material evolution.
Yeah, I mean, the more I try to think about it, the more it detracts from the actual point of what I get from believing in God and sort of that kind of thing. Yeah, not as a physical being, I guess is definitely the case, but I don't know what non-physical being he would be.
The unknowable, I guess, the all-knowing, but we get to know his essence, but all the wonderful things and all the blessings that we receive, we just don't understand the depths of it. So I guess we'll never know who he may be as a whole, but you get like a trickle down of all these wonderful, like being showered of blessings every day. So that's how you get to know God, I guess, because like I said earlier, all these things you're surrounded with, God gave you these things, but will you know how he put all these things together? No, you will never know, and that's okay.
And I was learning about intercession between God. Like, God is this person who you can never understand, you can never comprehend. He encompasses all. He is so great that it's like, I don't fully understand it.
God is so much more, and it's really just about the basic divine humanity. For me, that's God. Recognizing the beauty and the creation and the energy and the right that every person has to express themselves freely and to be of service and do good for the world. I feel like that is God. And if that's not your foundation, then maybe it's time to reassess.
I think for me, it's more about a guiding force. It's about the inner voice that we all have. For example, if we're doing anything which is morally wrong, there's always this inner voice. And everybody has it at different, of course, intensities. But that inner voice that tells you, don't do it, right? I think that is what God is. That's how he sort of always reinstates his presence in our lives. Like, it's important to understand those little signs. All right, are you listening to it? Are you walking on the right path? I think it is just a sort of encouragement to ensure that I am always on the right track. And I do listen to my inner voice more often than not. Yeah.
God is these spiritual qualities that people express so beautifully. He's the light in the world, the brightness that is around, the joy, the peace, the lightness. And so no God is a lack of that. It's like, that's what darkness is. It's a lack of light.
Yeah, I think there is one God. And I think there's lots of different names we hear that refer to God, such as Allah, or a greater being, or the unknowable essence, things like this. And I think they're all titles of God. But I believe there is one God.
Unbeknown to us, God is aware of our private act of conscience. God is aware of what goes on within us before even we become aware. We sleep, he doesn't. We rest, he doesn't. He doesn't need those things. He's beyond those limitations. And he is all conscious all the time of every single molecule within us, and there are billions within us. And within the universe, it's uncountable. He's aware, and that's his job. He's creating all the time. It's an ongoing process that he has set in motion.
The way that I would describe God is, because I work outside in a natural environment all the time, so for me, that's where I see God everywhere, in every living, breathing entity all around me.
To me, God is, in a sense, the word that comes to mind is love. God is love. And what I mean by that is, it makes me think of a parental figure, in the sense of a parent is loving to a child and they want the best for that child. They don't necessarily do everything to prevent that child from pain or suffering, but they want what's going to help build them up in a sense. And I think that love is Like, yeah, I guess essentially God is love in my thinking.
God knows what's best for you. God knows what's good for you. But I think if you keep fighting because of your own ego or because of your own, I don't know, very strong drive to do this one thing, if it's not going the way you want, pushing and pushing and pushing against it maybe is not the right way to be. Maybe paying attention to what God is trying to tell you, even though it's really difficult, that might be the answer, right? Again, that's what makes you have faith that, oh, by listening to what God was really trying to tell me, even though it was really hard to take a detour at that point in my life, because I really wanted that other thing, by opening my heart, guess what? I actually landed somewhere that I'm much happier.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't know, because I didn't grow up learning about God, but I know, I can feel that there's something. I mean, I really like the idea of like a creator, because I know that there's something, but I was not taught what that something is. And I also think that sometimes it's okay not to know. That like people, we really want to know everything. We want to be in control of everything. We want to have the answers to everything. And I think that especially in this instance, it's okay not to know.
It's a difficult question. I was having a conversation with a friend and his answer was just love. And I didn't expect that answer to come because I expected something more, I don't know, tangible, I guess. But then if you think about what the Baha'i writings say, it's something very intangible. But that's the thing, I expect from somebody who is not from a Baha'i background to say something that is way more tangible and more straightforward. I mean, even though love, I guess, is very straightforward. But for me, God, I think, it's such a complex concept almost that I don't know how to explain, I guess, apart from what I know from the writings. Yeah.
What is God? I mean, I can get all superhero-y, but I don't know. Just a higher, something that's unknowable. Like, I don't like using cliches, if you know what I mean by that. But God exists outside of all this, but is the owner of all of this.
We're so deeply connected with our environment. Well, some people more than others. And nature is just so awe-inspiring, and it's something that we can't control. I mean, we try, because I work in the garden and, I pull the weeds or prune, or there's all sorts of things that I'm doing, but I'm working with something that's already been provided and is there and in front of me, and I did nothing to really, except for if I was planting a garden, well, I put the seeds and I cultivate it. But the little fact that you have a seed that has a complete intact miracle inside of it, and from that grows, I'm constantly in awe of what goes on with what I see around me.
I mean, I guess growing up, we'd always hear we worship God, we pray for God, all of that. But then when I got older, as I was reading holy texts and learning more about religions in general, I reached a point where I truly loved God. Not because as a kid I was told that we love God or we have to worship God. And it's because of, like I said before, the level of detail and just the incredibleness in every single thing that's written, every single thing that's created.
Who is so unconditionally with you all the time, who loves you, who supports you, who understands the person you are. Because at the end of the day, we are the truest when we're, by ourselves. But in that time as well, God is with us. So I feel like having that companionship always helps.
Yeah, I believe that God is there for everyone.
God gets us to remember our divine humanity, and that's the thing that connects us all. And I feel like so many issues in the world that we're experiencing right now are because people forget their divine humanity. If you just remembered that and showed compassion and kindness, things would be so much better. It's so simple, but it's like, why aren't we doing this? This is like, it infuriates me. Why aren't we living like this and paying attention to this? Because it's so simple.